Hey guys, just a quick disclaimer here before I get started on the tutorial on how to make this or how to modify a Quicksilver hybrid into a fire top. Quicksilver hybrid bearing into a fire top. This is not a toy at this point. This is a very dangerous thing. It's very hot. And at times it spews fire all over the place. Even after you do your dry run and everything, it still throws fire all over the place sometimes because the wick is spinning around whatever the RPM is. So I really wouldn't advise doing this unless you're got some experience with things that are on fire. That being said, common sense, don't do this in the house, don't do this near cars, don't do this under trees that are kind of dying and flammable. Basically, don't do this around anything that could possibly catch on fire. So, without further ado, here's how to make a fire top. Okay, so this is what we're going to need to modify a Quicksilver hybrid bearing into a fire top. Most importantly, we're going to need a Quicksilver hybrid bearing, not a Quicksilver hybrid fixed, a Quicksilver hybrid bearing. You'll see why in a minute. Then we need a pair of pliers with wire cutters, or a pair of pliers and wire cutters. A pair of vice grips. They don't have to be this small, but this is the one I use in my top utility supply box. Found it's most convenient. And a piece of inner tube. This is for grabbing the tip and immobilizing it. Then we need a wrench, ratchet, or a screwdriver with a socket adapter, and this socket is 10 millimeter. It's a little bit loose on the tip, but I didn't think it was going to strip it, so I went ahead and used that. A knitting needle. This is to pack the wicking, you'll see in a little bit, but there's a piece of the wick that goes over the top of the internal part to kind of make it uniform. Excuse me. Some tie wire. This is automotive tie wire. I don't know about any other gauges or types of wire. This is just what I've had available to me and what I'm familiar with. And of course, what you see right here under all these is my wicking material, which is cotton. I don't know about any other materials, but 100% cotton, no fumes, little smoke. You know, from what I understand, what I've used before, it's the best material. So, without further ado, here we go. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is get our Quicksilver hybrid bearing and open her up. This is a brand new one. So let's open it up here. And we gotta take the tape off of it. Which is a real pain in the butt. There we go. Okay, put the tape over there. Then we remove the lid. There's a sticker in there that I have never seen before. It says made in China. I don't remember ever seeing one in there before on a Quicksilver hybrid. We take that out as well. Put it over there. Okay, now our first order of business is let's cut 2 lengths of wire. So here's the wire. So let's find the end of this. Where's the end of this? Is that the end? Where's the end of this? that the end? I think this is the end. Okay, well, we'll just use this end. And cut these off at about, ooh, I don't know, 10 inches, just to give us enough to work with. A little bit excess. So we'll cut 2 of those. I like that. Move the wire out of the way. Now for the moment, we'll set these 2 pieces of wire off to the side. And we'll come back to our Quicksilver hybrid bearing. Now we're going to undo the nut about, well, just till the nut gets to the top of this threaded shaft right here. So let me get my wrencher. That's where this comes in. Put the inner tube around the tip, and I've already got this vice grip adjusted for Quicksilver hybrid bearing standard tip, so that holds it to where the tip now isn't moving anywhere. And we'll put this on to loosen. So we're just going to do this a little bit. We're not taking the nut totally off. Just to about till it gets to the top of that threaded bit on the tip, like that. Okay, now I'll explain this on paper before I do it, because I'm not sure I'll be able to get it clearly on video. So the way we're going to wrap the wire, well, first I should say we're going to wrap the wire around this I guess the shank, this threaded part of this tip. We're going to wrap it once around it and then back out. So I'll show you on paper what I mean. So let's have this represent the threaded rod. Okay, so our wire is going to come around it once and then back out. Okay, and then our second wire is going to come and go around it and out once, and you're going to pull these 2 wires, kind of work them as close as you can to this, kind of pull them taut. So, it's a lot easier than you might imagine. So we're going to grab this. I'm going to put a little bit of a bend in here, just to kind of help it get around the curve. I'm going to try to do this to where the camera can see it, but that's why I drew it out there, because I don't think I can. Yeah. It was easier to do with that red one because you could see what you were doing because of the contrasting color. Okay, there we go. Okay, and when you've wrapped it around the tip like that, you just kind of work it to the shape of the top with your fingers, like that. Okay? And then you kind of bend it out to where it gets out of your way. And then you do the exact same thing with your second piece. So you put a little bend in it. It's easier to put a little bend in it first than it is to try and work it when you get it all the way down in there. Okay, sorry if this appears a little bit choppy. My phone is being absolutely retarded and telling me I have no memory left, so it cut the video a minute ago here. So we're here putting the second length of wire, wrapping it around the tip here. So let's do this here. It's a little bit more awkward than you would think, especially putting in the second one. Also, I can't see in this one. When I did it on the red one, it was easier to see inside. This one's just black. Come on. I'll put a little bend in this here. Maybe that'll help. There we go. I think. What's going on there? There we go. Okay. There we go. I've got a good loop around it now. So, what we do is we work it into the shape of the top here. Kind of contouring it to where it'll fit nicely up against the side, because when we put the wick in here, we want the wick to be as evenly around the inside of the top as we can. Okay, so now that we've got that all nice and worked in, we're going to tighten down the nut. And now, I did this the first time I did this. It was fixed tip. Probably you could do this bearing tip, but I'm not sure. It might affect the balance of it. It being loose enough to allow the tip to rotate in here. I don't know for sure. I may try it at some point. If anybody tries it, you know, post the results, because I'd really love to know. I don't usually play bearings, so it's not really an issue. So yeah, anyway, so to do this, to make this fixed, like I did the first time, was you just tighten down the nut till it gets snug here. Okay, so once you get done tightening down the nut in there and kind of spacing these out correctly, it's time to move on to the wick. Now, like I said before, 100% cotton is the way to go. No fumes, not a lot of smoke, just works out. So, I don't know what the correct size is. This rag right here is it's about 10 inches wide by about 2 feet long. So we're going to fold that in half to about right there. And then fold it another time. And you want to do this evenly so that you don't have any weight imbalances, or you can minimize weight imbalances. And let's fold it one more time, like that. Okay. So now what you want to do is you want to start rolling it up, not folding it like 1, 2. You got to roll this. So you got to go rolling, rolling, and you just keep rolling and rolling until you get to the end here, and you kind of even it out as you go. And every once in a while, you can test it to see if it's big enough. Obviously, it's not. So, I'm going to even this out. And make sure your wick is clean, by the way. Don't use a dirty wick. You might wind up with some fumes or smoke or something melting on the rag, and it's just no good. Okay, so once you're done rolling it and you've tested it and it's nice and snug in the top right here, then you come here and you get what I failed to remember in the first place, a pair of scissors. And you simply just cut off the excess. Now, don't discard the excess. Excess is very important, as you will see in a moment. So, you take your new roll of wick here and you set her down in the top like that. Now this should be fairly snug. Should be fairly snug in there. Okay, now we set this aside for the moment and we come back to our little piece of remnant right here. So what we do here is we cut a square out of this right here. And this square is about 3.5, 4 inches square. And we discard this piece of it there. And then this is where the knitting needle comes in. So you place this remnant. Let me just make sure this is in frame. Okay, here we go. We place this remnant of fabric over the top here, and we work it with our knitting needle into the sides. And what this does is it creates a uniform surface for that flame to be on. I'm not exactly sure how fire works, but I think that sounds legit. So, work that in there. This is a little bit looser than I would have liked, but I think that this will work anyway. But you want it pretty snug. Now, again, I don't know if you could do this bearing or what, but anyway. So you just keep working that in so you get all the edges worked in. And voila. Okay, so once you've packed that in with your knitting needle and you've got it all nice and uniform, now your pliers come into play. First, what you want to do is you want to bend these over and cross them like that. Alright. And then you want to put one twist in there with your hand like that, and then take over with your pliers here. This is kind of awkward because of the angle. Okay. You don't want to do too much of this because the wire will tend to fatigue. Just do this the way I normally would. It's easier to have a like a flat nose pliers to do this, but okay. So after you twist them, you want to push the ends down. You can just push it to the side here. Yeah, push it like. Whoa. This is a little bit looser than I would like, so but for the purpose of this video, it's good enough. So you just bend these tips down because they are sharp and they will mess you up. And then you do the same thing for these last two here. For the second two. And just keep packing that in there. Just a twist. And with the pliers. And then if the ends are too long, this is why you need wire cutters. Ends may be too long, you just snip them off. Now leave about 3/4 inches if you have to cut them. 3/4 inches should be sufficient. And again, you want to work those ends down into the packing here so that they don't come up and cut you. And then if there's any little pieces of the packing that are coming up, you just take your knitting needle or whatever kind of needle you have, doesn't matter, just anything to shove down in there, and you pack her in like that right there. Again, ideally you want this to be a little bit tighter, but for the purposes of this video, it's fine. And there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it. That is how you make a fire top. Thank you very much for watching. Okay, so there you go. That's how to make fire top. It's easy. It doesn't require a lot of tools. It's creates a pretty good effect. Again, I'd like to stress that this is a very, dangerous thing to do. It makes a top into something other than a toy. I guess it is a toy, but it's a pretty dangerous toy at that. What I used was lighter fluid to make it work. I tried kerosene at one point, but I don't think I put enough kerosene to really give it a good go because I'm not used to dealing with kerosene. Which brings me to the point of I'm not sure how toxic lighter fluid is getting on your hands, and when you're doing this, you get a lot of it on your hands. You just because you got to experiment with how much to put, and then you got to give it a dry run. So it's probably not very good for your health, aside from the fact that you could burn your face off. So just making that clear. Other than that, though, it's one hell of a fun time, eh? So I hope this tutorial was something that was clear enough that you could, if you wanted to, you could make it yourself. I would encourage somebody to try it if you're not afraid of the fire and all that, and have a little bit of experience, maybe with fire juggling, or I don't know, maybe those little you know, those little fireballs you make out of the cotton rags, and you kind of jug them around in your hand a little bit, keep them from burning your hand. Those are kind of fun. But yeah, anyway, hope this was clear enough to make another one by, and take care and don't burn your face off.